Welcome to On the Chain. This is Chip. Jeff will be joining shortly. You know how it is, guys. Sometimes there's technical difficulties, but what is going on in the world? Is everything crashing and burning? What's going on with these banks? Number one, these banks are crazy, bizarro world. And what's up with the Fed? I don't know. Are they trying to? Seems like they're trying to crash crypto. There's some kind of weird stuff going on. Let's get to it. Here we go. You guys ready? Let's go. Let's see. Where's my controls here? Have to find everything. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, guys. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here with us today, tonight, this morning, whatever time it is for you guys. But always appreciate you guys having our back and coming here and hanging with us. Go ahead and tweet this out. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can send us a super chat. If you're watching on the replay, there's a buy. It's like a super chat thing. You can do that as well. Best way you can help us out is by sharing the content with your friends, your families, and even an enemy. What the hell? Why not? You have nothing to lose. Bring them over from the dark side. Bring them over into the know, into the crypto side of things. If you're coming in from someplace outside of Miami, go ahead, drop the city and the country. Love to see everybody and where you guys are coming in from as we dive into this. I see everybody's in here. I see Hans Loaded is really pumped up tonight. He's got an LFG there going there, which is really awesome. And it's very good. Jeff, give me the thumbs up when you are ready to go. I know he's coming in, but he's giving me the thing. He's giving me the wait a second. And just as shortly, we'll jump into the some news here because there's always some kind of technical difficulties. It's either I'm having it, Jeff's having it, or sometimes we're lucky and we're both having it. And today I was realizing I was still on Wi-Fi and didn't have a direct plug. And so I was seeing a little bit of stutter stuff. What are you going to do? So let's jump into this right away. Here's an interesting story. You don't see much of this happening anymore, but here we go. Jeff, come on in. Boom.
There I am. There we go.
There you are, buddy.
What's going on? There we go.
Good. Can hear you loud and clear, man.
Nice.
Look
and I'm
at
doing
you.
it through the
Look
phone.
Are you doing it through the phone? Your phone's got a good mic, man. Sounds clear.
Oh, that's good because I can only plug my phone into the wall or the mic, but not both.
Well,
it's an either-or situation.
There's always some kind of weird thing going on, Jeff. But I was just saying, like, hey, let's talk about anything new going on since last time we talked. Let's take a look.
Dude, there's so much going on. It's crazy. We're going into an epic meltdown of, I was going to say a meltdown of epic proportions.
Epic in an epic, sort of an epic beyond epic way. So look at this story right here. U.S. regional banks remain under pressure from First Republic sinks. It's like you got to have a daily tally card to find out which one is next, Jeff. It's just getting a little bit crazy time here, but the turmoils engulf bank stocks. Bank stocks are dead, Jeff. I mean, imagine it was like somewhat stable. It's like, let's get into a bank stock. Let's get into, They are tanking left and right. And what's really bad is the people all left holding the bag, people that put stock puts or shorted, they're having a problem because now the brokers are stopping anything going on with SVB. So imagine like now you're losing money because you can't get your money, and by more time passes, you're going to lose more money as things sort of like go through there. And I'm like, well, what's next, Jeff? I mean, could there be a big European bank that could be failing? I mean, could there? Wait, what's this?
What is this?
Credit Suisse, Jeff?
Credit Suisse. What's going on with Credit Suisse?
Credit Suisse in emergency talks. So here's the funny thing. As this story started breaking, there was panic. I think I heard somebody tweet out, it might have been Charlie Gasparino, heard from an employee. There was like crying and panic of bank employees. And they were like, people were throwing themselves out of windows. That didn't happen. I just made that last one up. But it was total bedlam, right? And then all of a sudden, Jeff, the Bank of England says, hey, emergency talks. The Swiss bank, the Swiss National, the Swiss Central Bank said, so Jeff, is this a case of too big to fail?
Man, I'll tell you, it's hard to, put into words, what's happening. So think about, as we're seeing the fiat system kind of in meltdown, and it's not so much that the fiat system is bad, so much as the centralized powers that control it and manipulate it are bad. And it's proof positive now that in order to keep the fiat system moving forward, you're always tweaking it, right? And that's why they're manipulating the interest rates. They're manipulating supply. They're offsetting supply and interest rates, and they're really causing havoc in the marketplace. And in many times, the case is that they're orchestrating certain conditions in order to achieve certain outcome. And right now we're definitely, and it's interesting too, because you're starting to see turmoil and infighting on the sides that are levying for power, right? How can you imagine that Elizabeth Warren would be the one to come out to tell Jesse Powell, not Jesse Powell, Jerome,
Jerome Powell. Jesse Powell's from Kraken.
From Kraken.
Jesse, now
To
Jerome.
tell Jerome Powell that he needs to step down, and it's what chaos are we entering into? But here's the thing, Chip. Overall, all this stuff going on, and this is where you look at the decentralized marketplace. You're like, holy shit, this actually starts making sense on such a broad scale. If it did, if you weren't convinced before, it's like, look at these guys that are controlling and manipulating things to the point now that what is FDIC worth if they tell you when you go into it that it's $250,000? You're protected up to $250,000, but now the bank failed, and granted, there's going to be some major pain as a direct result, but the government steps in and says, you know what, we're going to extend and cover all losses, not just the 250, but we're covering everything.
And Jeff,
now what does that mean, Chip? What does that mean?
But where's the rule set for like who gets to decide out of nowhere, right? So they have a mandate, their insurance, right, for banks, but is it within their jurisdiction to go ahead and say, you know what, you guys, yeah, that's right, you're going to be safe, but you small regional banks, your stock is going to tank, and then the big boys are going to step in and scoop you up. Don't worry about that. Sorry, you're not in the billionaires club. So it seems like, again, what we're seeing here, Jeff, is the governments of the world, not just here in the US, are picking winners and losers.
How is it that HSBC was able to step in and take SVB UK and acquire it for £1? They got acquisition of the UK entity for £1. And now, I haven't dug in deep into the full holdings of HSBC, and we probably need to do a full in-depth look at it. But based on some of the reporting that's out there, they're saying that the CCP has major controlling interests in HSBC. Now, I don't know if that's 100% accurate. We'd have to look at it. But for, let's say the CCP does have controlling interest in HSBC. The fact that HSBC can step in for £1 and it's being orchestrated vis-a-vis a government entity that is also now deciding winners, deciding how you carve up the pieces, deciding that these guys are bailed out and these other guys aren't, deciding that, we saw some issues with FTX corruption that we knew about, and we knew there was government involvement, but they're not trying to bail those guys out. Voyager is collapsing. The DOJ isn't trying to bail those guys out. Instead they're going after Binance and they're taking punitive measure against the investors. It's a all-out battle that's being waged right now against retail investors as well as those in the crypto space. It's a disgusting battle that's being waged at the elite level, the elitist level, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to think of what story to go next. There's so many, but this one here does speak to that, what you were just talking about, which is the HSBC pays £1. You know what would have been a good bet? Not too long ago, the pound sterling was on parity with the USD. So you could have purchased, You could have purchased, 10,000 or 100,000 pounds on parity, and now it's already 21% has gone up. Who would have known that could have been your best bet of the year? And if it heads up to 40 or 50 cents, it's a pretty good 4 or 5x times your money. But a consortium of private equity firms also submitted a formal acquisition proposal to the UK Treasury and the Prudential Regulatory Authority at the Bank of England. It says the deal excludes the assets and liabilities of SFB. Now, that was interesting because originally I kind of thought they were also going to assume some of the liabilities. So what did they really acquire? The name? Because if it excludes the assets and liabilities, what are they really getting here? They say, well, here's the lawyer line. The acquisition strengthens our commercial banking franchise and enhances our ability to serve innovative and fast-growing firms, including the technology of life science sectors, the UK and internationally, said HSBC Group. So it sounds to me like they're only taking over the customers. I don't know.
Okay. So they're acquiring the customers for £1. I mean, they're still getting a lot out of it. It's kind of crazy. Mr. Wright was saying as much as bank stocks are tanking, I see XRP staying stable. And the one thing, XRP has always been relatively stable. XRP is one of the most stable assets out there, right? It's always hovering in a specific range. It was always in that 27 to 35 cent range. Now it's in that 30, 35 cent to 40 cent range. It has this kind of an expectation of where it's going to be until it isn't. But man, what we're witnessing right now is it just reeks of all sorts of corruptive behavior. And granted, you know what? A lot of VCs put their money, and a lot of tech companies put their money into SVB. But you know what? At the same time, there's something called karma, and karma is kind of a bitch,
Big
And so
time,
I'm looking.
Jeff.
I just don't see, SVB. They're bailing out their cronies. The board of SVB, all blue team. The causes that they were focused on, they weren't focused on financial causes. They were focused on global warming. They were focused on transgender stuff. $73 million donated to BLM from SVB. They were focused
actually
on
more than that.
everything. It was definitely more. They were focused on everything except for financial stability of a bank, the things that they're meant to do. This, again, when we start seeing the chaos, and now if Credit Suisse melts down and all these other institutions melts down, right? What's next? How many others are going to melt down? What is this going to cause? What kind of turmoil in the marketplace? Interest rates are already skyrocketing. Inflation is out of control. Food costs is out of control. I was just referencing over drinks a little bit earlier. Used to be you go to the grocery store, for a weekend and you're spending $125. Now it's $180. So compile that with all the chaos. Now, who's suffering?
Is there any good news, Jeff? I'm wondering, is there anything good in this?
Good news. Man, what's good out of this is crypto is good.
I was
If
gonna say.
Bitcoin is going up, crypto's going up. It's driving a huge, big magnifying glass on the fact that they're trying to single out crypto and undermine the crypto marketplace, whereas crypto is turning to a net positive, and people are realizing that here's the thing, Chip. All over the world, we've been talking about Lebanon, there's run on the banks. Cyprus runs on the banks. In Greece, they were run on the banks. In Venezuela, they have 1,000,000% of inflation. And all of these countries were turning to what? Oh, El Salvador. What are they turning to? Oh, yeah, crypto asset as a safe haven. What does that tell you, Chip?
It tells me that people are starting to wake up. And if anything, when people are looking for safety nets, they're looking for where's your, you remember the gold speculators back in the 20s and the 30s when they said, oh, you got to hand your gold over to the US government. Well, yeah, maybe 50 or 60% did, but the other 40% buried it, put it in safekeeping because they're not going to get rid of their gold. There's no way that they're going to part with their gold, especially what are they going to give you? Some fiat currency that, again, is going to be worthless. So we're kind of seeing right now, when you think about it, where can you really go? Okay. There's gold, also manipulated. Silver market's manipulated, right? Gold, honestly, should be around 25, 30K, maybe 35K an ounce. Totally has been suppressed. But it's kind of weird that the rest of every government has been loading up on gold and silver, mostly gold, for the past 3 years, 3 to 5 years, big time as far as that. Now, why would that be, Jeff? Why would they be loading up on that? If you think if you're an honest person, just making your day, trying to feed your family and do all this stuff, you're like, do I want to put a lot of money into gold, silver, any other precious metals? Do I want to get into crypto, right? Or I want to get into crypto and, whether it's Bitcoin, XRP, Cardano, whatever it is, it sits on a little device, Jeff, a little thumb drive. And you know what? It's pretty safe. As long as you don't lose that seed phrase, you're in good shape. And you know what? You bypassed all of the regular banks. There's nobody to worry about except you in case you make a blunder, right? And that's why you probably want to keep that in multiple places.
You got to remember your seed phrase in your head. Remember,
Good luck.
apples, bananas, bread, washing machine, flying,
never gonna happen.
dumb, sky, squirrel. See?
Yeah. See, none of those are your seed phrase. That's what I see. Look at this right here. So the Swiss central bank says it'll backstop. Now, at some point,
everything's backstopping.
The problem with all this is like when you're trillions of dollars in debt and you're on the precipice of everybody heading over the cliff at the same time. Where is the true backstop? You're just throwing bad money out over bad money. And what's the bailout? Like how does it fix it? By the way, I read an article 2 weeks ago about Credit Suisse that they were like in massive panic, but we've been hearing about Credit Suisse forever, Jeff. This isn't anything new. We've been hearing like for the last year, it's been super volatile, on the verge of collapse. And everyone's like, la, la, just cool. Just la, la, la.
You know what? It sounds cool though. Credit Suisse. Doesn't it just seem so chocolatey?
So there's no, the Swiss sounds good. The credit part doesn't sound so good. That part to me.
The credit out, you get the Swiss. The Swiss, I feel like it's chocolatey and sweet.
I do the American pronunciation. Credit Suisse. I don't think that's right either, Jeff, to be honest with you.
I'm sure we're butchering it, but that's okay. Swiss just reminds me of Swiss cheese. But sweet,
Swiss
it's like
cheese,
chocolatey, sweet chocolatey goodness.
I love this one here. Dan Premack had this observation. He says, what's the odds on CBS announcing that one of its new fall series will be called FDIC and features good-looking agents, seasoned banks, and saving depositors? Right? It's like, we're the good guys. We're going to come in. We're going to save you. It's seizing banks, having a great time. I mean, it could happen, Jeff. It's possible.
Sounds like a good time.
It sounds like, we laugh because it's on par. It's like totally true.
Because it's going to be true. Oh God.
And then there's this one here. God, there's so much good stuff in the Keep. I don't know. For some reason, I'm lagging because I started out. The reason I lagged.
We loaded it up with so much stuff in there.
No, the reason I'm lagging is I started off, unfortunately, on Wi-Fi, and it's just not catching up. So this right here, here's a good point too. So this is Natalie Donaldson. She says, the Fed bailing out banks means printing money. Printing money means inflation. Right. Inflation means it hits you right between the eyes and in the throat, which means you are the one bailing out the banks. Doesn't matter what country you're in, because your bank failures are next. So it's it's succinct. You can read all this like blah, blah, blah articles, but it's pretty simple. Bailing out banks is printing money. Printing money is inflation. Inflation hits you square between the eyes, which means you're the one bailing it out. It's a bailout, and you get the bill. Congrats.
The bill.
I love that tweet. I thought it was a really solid one. I don't even know who this Natalie is. Who is she? She's a conscientious objector.
Natty. She's an objector. How many followers does she have? 455,000 views. How many subscribers?
67,000. Not bad.
1,000.
There you go. And there you have it. Man, Jeff.
Man, I wish I could pull up some of these articles. I can't see any of them, and they keep them on my phone.
Well, I'm pulling them up systematically here, so I think
I don't remember the ones that we put in there. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, the thing is like we end up putting way too many in there, then we can't get to them all, right? This one right here, Jeff took the,
There's some good
I
ones
have
at the
to be
bottom.
honest though, Jeff, it's like, if you look back at Glass-Steagall, which came out of the Great Depression, right? Glass-Steagall, the basic tenet of what it said was, and again, we did away with it, but it basically separated investment banking from standard banking, right? So
Mhm.
if you think about what happened, let's just like review. Let's do a little workshop on what happened with SVB. They invested 2 point some billion. I don't remember what the number was, over $2 billion in bonds. All right. You know who's that money that was? That was their depositor money, right? But they went ahead and they put it because bonds is a safe market.
Anyways,
We'll
so why
put it in
not?
the bond market, Jeff, right? So they
Even
put
the
it in
Biden bond.
bonds. Yeah. And so what happened? So the rates started going up, up, up. They had to do a sell-off. There was a bank run and they couldn't cover. Now let's
That
talk about
sucks.
that other one, that SBF, scam bankrupt fraud, scam bankrupt fraud, Sam Bankman-Fried. Now he had a 3-letter company called FTX. And
Mhm.
what did he do? He blew $2 billion. Same thing. Very similar scenario, Jeff, but one of them is a bank and investing in government bonds. The other one was investing in something else. Didn't matter what it
Politicians.
was.
He was
What's
investing
that?
in politicians.
In politicians. And how did that work out? Might keep them out of
Didn't
jail.
work out so well. Well, keep him out of jail.
But they went crazy and they said, "Oh my God, you were using the people's crypto money. I can't believe this. This is horrific." Meanwhile, they just did the same thing, but the government's like, "That's cool. We got your back. We're going to step
We
in. We're
got
going to."
your back. We're gonna
The
bail you out.
same thing, Jeff.
Same.
So it's like, it depends. If you're in the cool club, you're going to be saved. If you're not in the cool club, you're not going to be saved. What was the George Carlin line? It's their club and you ain't in it. So that's kind of how, something like that. But look at this. Now, this one right here, Jeff, I got to read this because first of all, everybody talks a lot about Dodd-Frank, right? Dodd-Frank did this and the banks and Dodd-Frank did that.
Bring this one up.
This
Is
is a
this the
good
one
one,
with
right?
Barney Frank talking?
Of course it is, Jeff. Why not? But let's take a look at this disaster of a human being.
That's
Yeah,
interesting what he
let's
says. He
yeah, let me
lays out
pull it
some
up.
good points. Alex Vlogs.
Alex D, what's going on, Alex D? Vlogs, 1 week. Yeah, well, maybe, Alex. Somebody thought today was the deadline. I'm like, there's no deadline. I mean, when it comes out, it comes out. But we're getting close, guys. It's 2 years, 3 months in, two and a quarter in here. So we are getting there. Thank you for that, Alex. So for his part, Barney Frank, who helped draft the landmark Dodd-Frank, Act after the 2008 financial crisis, said there was no real objective reason the signature had to be seized. I think part of what happened was the regulators wanted to send a very strong anti-crypto message. Frank said they became the poster boy because there's no insolvency based on the fundamentals. Thoughts on that? Says everything.
Yeah,
Said the quiet part out loud, right, Jeff? I mean, like, it's like, oops,
that's
did I
it.
just say that?
It's exactly what their intention was. This all started with the collapse of FTX. Actually, before that, this all started with the what was their insane stable budget inflation. What the hell was that thing called? They had like
Doesn't
a
matter what it's called. It was told. It was
doesn't
supposed to
matter
be
what it's
the
called, and then they're like,
Inflation Killer Act, something like that.
we need to put crypto legislation in it, and we're going to bring in Sam Bankman-Fried to help us draft this legislation. But the whole point is, as they orchestrated the FTX collapse, and Gary Daddy G is out there, trying to, regulate and control, not even regulate, but he's trying to regulate through enforcement and just
Regulators.
bringing legal action and trying to tie all the big companies up in legal battles, and hopefully they collapse, and they collapse FTX, and they were hoping that the FTX collapse, even though it was premature, I think they were hoping that it would cause a meltdown in crypto. And you know what? People looked at FTX as like, blip, that was a speed bump, and everyone kept looking forward like, NFTs, cryptocurrency, smart contracts, everything is moving forward, and we're building in the metaverse, and we're building, and it's going to be amazing, and DeFi and staking and all this stuff. And screw you guys, we're still looking forward, and AI is going to crush all of you, and so here it is. It was a blip. It was a complete blip. And so for whatever reason, this administration and the blue team have it out for crypto and decentralization and freedom. There's others around the world that are the same, that prefer to regulate and control and make sure that, that you're always at the bottom of the totem pole and you'll never get a leg up, and everything, as soon as you have a leg up in the stock market, they'll find a way to crush it. As soon as you have a leg up in the real estate market, they'll find a way to crush it. As soon as you have a way to get away from centralization, they're trying to find a way to crush it. But you know what? People love freedom all over the world. And as soon as Bitcoin was let out of the bag, however you look at Bitcoin, that was the beginning 13 years ago. There's no turning back. And, it would be really interesting to see who this Satoshi was at some point. Maybe we'll know, maybe we won't. We don't know if he's a good actor, bad actor. Nobody knows. But every other digital asset that has rolled out since then is as a direct result of the foundation that was built on Bitcoin, which is, is synonymous with the entire decentralized financial space. And it is an exact pushback to all this chaos that we're seeing, this meltdown. And that's the silver lining through all of this, Chip, is that we're in the cryptocurrency space. I feel super optimistic. I believe in people. I believe in freedom. I believe that people want freedom. Think about World War II. World War II was probably one of the lowest points in world history. And people thought we'd never come out of World War II, and the deaths and the millions of people that were massacred in World War II. And here we are.
Entering another war, potentially.
Getting ready to go into another one. But people came out of it, and the world economy boomed. And people that were suffering somehow were able to recover the worst horrors that they'd ever experienced in their entire life. So the lesson that you learn from that is there's, at some point, you can't always be an evil. Even the Dark Ages, eventually there was a Renaissance. At some point, a Renaissance. At some point, there will be a glimmer of hope. And sometimes you have to go through the worst, to find the best. Hopefully we don't have an entire global economic collapse due to these morons at the helm. Hopefully they get pushed aside and tossed into the volcano, sooner than later.
Yeah, like Joe versus the volcano. Here we go. So Keha with the Big Ten support. Appreciate that. He says big banks and government, they can't launder and manipulate it. That's our thing. And that's exactly right. If you're a big bank or government, you're like, that's exactly right. You got to protect your own turf. And it kind of sounds like that, but it's so weird. It's like, well, why these would they step in? And you start looking at what's under the hood. You start realizing that there's a lot more to it. It's not just some of the things you mentioned at the top of the show, Jeff. There's a lot more stuff going under there, and with that, there was a lot. I also saw there were 500 really, because Israel's a real high tech startup. It's got a really intense startup culture. 500 startups from Israel were also involved in this whole thing. It's like, what were they doing? Putting their money. I mean, you're trying to look for somewhere safety, and then there's a connection to the red country, right? A big time connection, big time ownership connection, because they were also funding startups from one of the countries that we say has a billion plus people, and it's not India. And they were fueling a lot of the startups and stuff over there. You can't let that fail, Jeff. So it's like, as you start digging deeper, you realize that, isn't that great? Out of the greatness of their heart, they're doing it. Well, no, there's usually something behind it. And Kay had making a really good point here. Look at this, Jeff. Library has it spot on. Banking should be illegal just to protect investors.
That's right. Think about that. Think about the predatory lending environment of and again, I believe in banks. I believe in the banking system in terms of you need to have a third party to keep your assets safe, because people themselves just don't feel confident to protect. You're not going to dig a hole in the backyard. People don't want to remember their seed phrases. People don't want to remember their thumb drive. People don't want to do that stuff for mainstream acceptance, because the majority of the people can't do it. It's just not mentally or physically possible for the majority of the people to do that. So you need to have these third parties. It's just that the infrastructure is so corrupted at this point. There has to be, something on the other side. And that's what he's saying. Look, you got to protect the people. How is it that you put your money in the bank, they pay you 0.5% interest, and then you go to loan your money, and they go with the base rate, and then they're adding on top of it. Obviously they got to make money, but it's like, come on, you think about a mortgage. You take out your mortgage. How much interest are these banks making off of the mortgage industry? And there's a number of well-to-do people on the speaking circuit that look and they look, say, you know what, the entire concept of the American dream to own a house was to make the majority of the people in the United States subservient to the banks. Because you take out that mortgage and you're subservient to your mortgage for 25 years, 30 years, and the banks are making a shit ton of money off of those mortgages. Not to say that they can't make money, because believe in profit and capitalism and all that stuff, but at some point you have to wake up to the fat, and you have to realize that through decentralization, Chip, you don't need all that fat.
Not at all. No, and it's a good point. I like Jesse Powell also weighed in this by saying that looks like SVB UK is going to go to HSBC. Does the administration see this as a win? But on the upside, you stuck it to tech. And on the downside, if these allegations are to be believed, you sold your nationally strategic asset to China for $1. Well, 121 in US, but a pound. But
is it $1.21 now?
Semantics. It's $1.21 now.
What is the euro? 97 cents?
I wish, Jeff. I don't think it is. But I think,
or is it on par?
As well.
Is the euro on par with the dollar?
I think it's gone up again. I don't know, Jeff. I used to watch that a lot closer than I do these days. And then you got this one here, Mr. Wonderful Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary, who, we used to talk a lot about him with Sam Bankman-Fried, but he was on CNN and he shocked the entire panel, Jeff. They were like, they didn't even have a good comeback. But he basically said he'll never buy another bank stock again because Biden has essentially nationalized banks via the post SVB. Let's see. Let me see here. He said you have zero risk and that has consequences. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And this is going to be expensive for shareholders of banks long term. I would never put my money into a bank stock again. Later that day, Biden committed a stricter oversight and said SVB's collapse would be helped by the Trump's administration easing of the Dodd-Frank, which is complete nonsense. Number, by the way, this is, look, if you're pointing the finger backwards, you're pointing it at yourself, right? So you're trying to go back and say, look at the low inflation, 2.2%. You look at the high, low unemployment across every sector. And then we got here. So Leary says tighter restrictions are detrimental to banking profits and created an environment of low growth. Now, the last time somebody was in that resident in the White House from the blue team, another massive win for the administration, they basically wiped out GM and they reset the stock and they wiped out every investor and took them to zero. Now, this, again, you see the same kind of thinking and the crime that happens over and over again. And everybody was okay with it, Jeff, because remember that the government stepped in and made that happen.
And they never should have done that. They should have at that time. And granted, I've got connections to General Motors, in terms of,
as do I.
Yeah, did you? And so, it would be devastating to have seen it go under, but it would have been broken up. There would have been buyouts, just like every other company, just like Chrysler was bought by Daimler, and then, then they didn't like it. They basically pillaged every dollar that they had, and then it went to Fiat. And now I forget the name of the company. It's a Peugeot-owned company, but they own They own Chrysler, Dodge, Ram. They own Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Fiat. There's this huge VC conglomerate that owns all of them. But that's how it should have been done. Unfortunately, it's now, internationally owned, not in the US, but General Motors, but look at what happened. So they bought them out. They, quote unquote, saved them. I love GM vehicles. I drive a GMC. There's nothing wrong with that. But now the CEO at the helm wants to bring it all, woke and crazy and electric.
You know what Orange Man said? Orange Man Bad said,
What?
"Go woke, go broke."
Go broke.
I didn't say it, Jeff.
Michael DiCaprio said, "I'm a newbie in crypto, 2 to 3 years since the lockdowns, learned everything from YouTube and a few books, but I like to listen to good people in this field." Big smiley face as they're tuning in. Jay was saying, "What do you think will happen on March 20th? Man, March 20th is right around the corner. What is March 20th?
I don't know. I mean, people are talking about March 20th. Is that the day that it's going to be dropped? I mean, it's coming soon, right? So in the midst of all this turmoil, of all this craziness, you've got the case of the century going on right now. It is the case of the century. And it's a new century, so we can pretty much say that. It's like, what else has been bigger, right?
The century.
We had the Bernie Madoff case, but that's ancient history, Jeff. Let's not talk about that. This one's bigger because it's going to define an industry. This is something that defines everything, and we're going to now have the Ripple test instead of the Howey test. The Howey test is going to be a lot of.
Who was Howey anyway? With his,
by the way, they sued his company after he died. But Jeff, I've dug into that a little bit, and he was a guy that he was a politician. He was a rich guy. He ruffled the wrong people's feathers, and they came after him, Jeff. Okay, he hit the wrong people. He was a political guy. They didn't like his politics. They went after him, and after he passed away, they went and tried to take his company because he had already died at that point. By the time I think he died in the early 40s. By the time that happened, but they tried to come in and grab him anyway. They didn't really care. Here's another kind of a good.
Think about how smart he was back then in the 40s. He had an orange grove, and he's like, invest in the orange grove. You can own a piece of farmland. How great is this? You can own my orange farm. You can own your own farm, your own piece, but you don't have to work the farm. Don't worry about working it. You own it. I'll cultivate it. I'll take care of it, and I'll sell the oranges, and you're going to get profit from those oranges because you own it, and I'm going to do all the work. What a brilliant concept.
Yeah, except for one thing.
What's that?
Security. That's a package security right there.
Damn pesky securities. Those damn orange securities. If only those oranges weren't securities.
Let's not do that, Brad.
If only those oranges weren't securities, Chip. Maybe he should have used lemons instead. Had he used lemons, we know that lemons are not securities. But those damn security oranges.
Yeah, exactly. So here's another little piece of some crypto stuff went on. So, or I should say tweets. So why was Silvergate's FHLB loan withdrawn suddenly, and why are they in voluntary liquidation instead of being acquired or otherwise reintegrated?
Why did they crush them, Chip? Why did they crush them?
I think we know why. This is the whole thing. The Fed and Treasury are going after it all. And where's the mandate? Why is everything running just rampage over everything? How does somebody who doesn't have the authority to say, we're going to save you, right? I mean, what happened to Congress? What happened to, it's just like, we're going to save you? Well, how does that happen? And you know what the sad thing about the banks are,
you know what, it gets pulled back.
Jeff, the best banks are the regional banks. They're you know what? They've been there for 100 years. The credit unions, but you know who's going to get crushed in all this? The smaller banks, the credit unions, and the regional ones, the ones that have maybe 20 branch offices like in a given area, around Kansas City or around Miami. They're not a national brand, but they've been there forever, and they're the trusted source. And your mother and father bank there, and now you bank there, and these are the good guys, the good banks that do the right thing. And now the trust is going to be eroded from what they're doing. They're going to be under a microscope. And meanwhile, they've been in business for all these years, and the small credit unions, which are member based, are also going to be at squeeze. So it almost kind of seems, Jeff, if I'm a betting guy, I'm wondering does this all come down to sounds like it was almost planned, right? Because
It
you're not
looks
going to
very
get
orchestrated.
you're not going to orchestrate it because you're worried about monopolization. But if you come in as a hero, Jeff, we just
That's right.
scooped them up and we grabbed them, and it's like, what were they going to do? They were failing, and we came in and we saved
The
them.
saviors, we're saving you. We created the problem. We exacerbated the problem, and then we came in and we saved you from the problem. How great are we?
Look at this, Jeff. DeWalt XRP laughs. He says, "LOL." Jeff's had a few drinks or two. Is that true, Jeff? Have you been drinking? You've been hitting the sauce.
Well, I got up, to be fair, I had a 7 a.m. flight. I went to bed at
You hit the bottle
12:30.
early.
No,
Damn,
I went to bed at 12:30. And then I was supposed to wake up at 4:30
that's
to
4 hours
work
sleep.
out and get all my stuff done. Somehow I slept. My flight boarding was at 6:25 and I woke up at 5:30. So, needless to say, my day has been in like hyped up speed mode from 5:30. Then it was like a 6.5 hour flight, and it was crazy. But thank God for Clear and TSA and everything. So by the time like 3 o'clock, 3:30 rolled around, I was at the Irish pub, had a couple Guinness and a huge hamburger, and I was happy. But that was at like 3 o'clock. So
Well, there you go. DeWalt
that
XRP. We
was a
got to do that
drink or
before.
two.
I think you
That
have
was
to
a
do that
drink or two
before
like
every
five
show,
hours
Jeff.
ago.
Do you
What's
guys
that?
like when do you like when Jeff has a few? Because I think it's so good. He's on fire.
Yeah,
He's on
that was like
fire,
5 hours
man.
ago. I'm on my like third wind at this point. So you got to go and you just like get your adrenaline
And
pumped up.
I always drink a non-alcoholic beer because I like them. They're good. It's very tasty.
I had
Athletic.
one. I had another, a Guinness Blonde at like 7 o'clock, but I couldn't drink it. I only drank like half of it. It just wasn't going down.
Guinness Blonde, man.
Yeah, it's
So if we
too
get through the rest of this,
busy.
so Nick Carter commented on this. It says, when I warned about choke point a month ago, I didn't think a million years that they would go 100x further and actually take down the top 3 crypto facing banks. It's breathtaking. This wasn't an accident. It was a demolition. And then Mr. Huber chimed in on that and said, I keep hearing that Michael Barr was behind Operation Choke Point. At the same time, I hear the timing is that right at the end of the Ripple lawsuit, couldn't be any stranger. And then others say that all this is planned. Who said that, Jeff? And I don't know what to
Nobody
believe
ever.
anymore. Too many coincidences, they're piling up. And so he's I'm gonna have to
Look at that.
yeah, so here we are. So this is Michael Barr. He joined the Ripple Labs. Former Treasury official Michael S. Barr joins Ripple Labs. This is from July of 2015. And then we've got Michael Barr calls Fed's Michael Barr calls for stable coin regulation and crypto. Crypto's crisis latest. Fed's Barr calls for the stable coin. Then we've got former Ripple advisor Michael Barr will supervise the Federal Reserve. His influence on policy and cryptocurrency. Now, this happened. This was July of 2022, about a year ago. And then finally, reserved, which Michael now coincidentally holds, the war on crypto. Operation Choke Point 2.0 has begun. And it does sort of have that ring. But if you think about what Tim Draper said when he hammered, when he probably is in the Hall of Fame of the On the Chain channel. Tim Draper, who pummeled Gary the Weaker Gensler on stage, and he said, remember what he called it? He said the bankers, the regulators are going to try to shut it down, but they're going to fail. But that's where we are right now in the midst of it. They're going to have to try to shut it down. And the problem, Jeff, is we, the people, aren't going to allow it. You know why? Because in 2020, everyone's just bumping into walls. And after 2020, people started waking up and started saying, and started engaging in crypto and started saying, hey, we don't like being oppressed. We don't like being locked in our homes. We like freedom. And so go ahead. Timing is very bad for this because there's not an appetite for it right now. Where am I going wrong, Jeff?
Nowhere. There's no appetite for the chaos that is ensuing and unfolding in front of us. You know who else is suffering right now are the tech companies, over in India as well. We're finally starting to see we're finally starting to see a little bit of an opening with some legislation and some discussion over crypto in India, and they also got caught up in this whole SVB thing. Can't believe how many companies just gave all their money and just had it sitting there in one bank and had faith that this bank, was gonna hold all of it. But now I guess they're all getting bailed out.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, I tried to raise money. I think I talked to 40 some different VCs, went through the whole dog and pony show, almost had an acquisition, and really good companies, serious stuff. But meanwhile, some dude named Crypto Toenail, who's anonymous, and he and his buddy Crypto Dipshit, they got money. They got they raised $3 or $5 million, and they rug pulled, and no one ever saw them. And they're like, geez, I wonder why that didn't work out. But legitimate people, and this is kind of what it's doing to the whole industry. But speaking of Tim Draper, Jeff, I got one here. I got a quote here from Tim Draper, one of his tweets. He says, regarding SVB, does the rapid change in rates after huge government spending mean the administration was sabotaging the economy just to sleep at the switch? I know we talked about this the other day, but it's a really good point. Either way, time for a change. Also, central banking has run its course. And you know what? Tim Draper is spot on with this, man. And he's the guy that called exactly what would eventually happen. And we're seeing it unfold right now. As we speak, we're seeing this absolutely unfold. And it's crazy.
I think we have a link over to John Deaton also had some commentary. I think we put that in the Keep commentary to Elizabeth Warren. Did we put that in there? Might not have.
I don't see it in here, Jeff.
Where he responded, she was calling for Jerome Powell, and she was going on and on and on. And I forget exactly what she was saying, but John Deaton's commentary was basically, "You're the worst senator ever."
Well, that's true. I don't know though ever.
There was a little more to. There was a little more to everything that was going on. I just don't remember the full context of it. I thought we put it in the Keep. There's some other, really.
I put some good stuff in there, and I can't find it either. It's like what happened? Something weird happened, and I can't figure it out because I put some stuff in there about an hour and a half ago, and I can't find it, Jeff. That happens. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, man? I'm gonna go try to see if I can find it because this was a good one.
Mentalect said 99% of the population will talk about freedom, but give it up as soon as they're offered UBI or free money. That's an interesting thought process, where money was being handed out. They talk about UBI during the lockdowns and the forced shutdowns. They were handing out little bits of money, not a lot, but people were just so craving, that free money. And then they said it was going to upset work. Everything was a big test to see how, low they could sink society, and how fast society would cave in. And now we're starting to see it all over again. We're seeing the disruption of the economic well-being or the stability of the, financial ecosystem that's been built over generations, and they're collapsing it right in front of us. They don't know what they're doing. And we always say, hey, these guys, look at what we have. We have Janet Yellen. We have Elizabeth Warren. We have Jerome Powell. I mean, you have to look at all these people and you're like, holy crap, these are the people that are making decisions for the outcome of our, the direction we're going with the economy of this country. We used to have Alan Greenspan. That guy, was a mathematical genius, but I don't know if he did great by the, I just, man.
And he says stupid things today, so I don't know if it's age setting in, but yeah, you have to really wonder about that. What's up? Look at Rain here. Rain's in there. Good show, boys. I'll always love to hear from Rain. Look at this, Jeff. I'm sorry. I always hate when somebody says something really funny in the comments, or I put a funny story up, because if I look at it, I start laughing. And you're saying something serious, and I'm like laughing over here. But this right here, XRP, the standard, says this. He says, and I'm going to play it in a second. He goes, "For all of you that called me a liar, yes, I really did go to high school with Joel Katz." And there it is right there. And there.
Who said that?
XRP, the standard production. And there's David Schwartz. Dave, look at that picture of David. I mean, what in the What in the Sam Hill here,
my,
Jeff? I mean, my
yeah,
goodness, what
that's
in the
too
hell?
funny.
And this looks like
It,
typical, like they always had that like weird, like fake smile, and it's like looks
holy
like
crap! Can you say what is that?
it's a
Is that 1980s? What is that? Is
it
that
looks. I gotta say, Jeff, it's a good thing that it's
90s?
in black and white because it looks like Bozo the Clown. It looks like a clown shot, right? Like there's like rainbow hair color or something like that, or blue hair. I don't know what it is. And then, like, if you look at this other one, you look like, yeah, there's always a dude that had this weird hair like this,
Yeah,
and this guy with the little weird mustache. He's like, hey, I'm 17. I'm
mustache.
growing a
Oh yeah,
mustache. Look at me. I'm a man.
the big glasses, the overly big
The
glasses.
overachiever, Laura Kuhn, she was like just overachieving. She's, I'm not having any of this. I'm not going to smile. Smile, please. She's like, I'm having none of it. And then, of course, Jennifer
What
Jennings,
the fuck are we
everyone loved
looking at?
Jennifer. I mean, look at that smile, Jeff. I mean, everyone loved her. She like
Oh, yeah.
everybody in the school. It didn't matter what clique you were in, what group, everybody loved her. She was fun to be around and she was smart. So people would copy off her answers. That was really good. No one knows what happened to John Pepe, but Monica won. And, you know, they all look like
Yeah.
pretty nice people. But David Schwartz, yeah, that's a solid shot. I don't even
Is
know if
that
this
really
is
him
real.
though?
I don't
Is
even.
that really him? It
I
can't
don't
be him.
even know. To be honest with you, I don't even honestly, guys, I don't even think this is David Schwartz because I'm gonna have to get with XRPP. He's gonna have to let us in on this because I mean, it kind of looks like him, but I don't imagine him having hair like that. I mean, dude,
Yeah,
that's some crazy stuff
that's
right there,
crazy.
right? God Almighty, that's something, man. I'll tell you. I look at that, I was like, what is going on with that?
John Doe says they look mid-30s, 40-ish.
Yeah, right. Well, it's so funny when you look at pictures, like you look at pictures from the 1800s and you go, and there's a real serious shot, and you go, the boy's 15. You're like, he looks like he's 32, but he only lived to be 35. So, yeah, he kind of
Right.
aged pretty young, and it didn't really work out so well. It
They
didn't really
have
work out so
David.
well.
Michael Murphy said David Garfunkel.
There you go, right there. Yeah. He was
Michael
really in a
Michael
Garfunkel back
Murphy
then.
said, have you seen the robot baristas? UBI is a given. No, you know what? The robot baristas might be even better once you get to go into your coffee shop. You don't have to deal with the nonsense. Just give me an espresso, make it perfect. I don't want bitter espresso. I want the perfect espresso, dark, rich, little cream on top. Not cream, but a little creamy espresso.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Look at this right here. And John Deaton put this tweet out right here. He said, look what the New York AG Attorney General pled about ETH in the KuCoin case. Does that sentence involving ETH apply to most tokens and stakings? Yes. Then look how the New York Attorney General groups ETH with Luna and UST. Ask yourself, KuCoin listed 700 tokens. Why was the investigator directed to buy ETH? Making a good point right there. If you look at right here, there it is right there. Because ETH holders can now profit merely by participating in staking. Is this one? And then here you go here. KuCoin reportedly offered, purchased, and sold ETH, Luna, and UST. Jeff, again, this is what happens when you pick winners and losers, not the way it was designed, but the way it's executed in government. It's a sad day. I don't know.
It's a sad day. It's a sad state of affairs.
It's a very bizarro sort of a world we're living in right now. It's kind of hard to even understand.
So the only question anybody cares about here is when moon, right? When 589? When will Shiba go to $1? When will, what other assets are there other than XRP and SHIB?
Other than
What
Shiba
else are
Inu,
there?
that's it, Jeff.
What
I don't
else?
think
What
there's
else do
anything
people
else.
care about? Let me see. When will XLM go to $1 or $2 or $5 or $50? When will XDC go to $1 or $5 or $10? That's what we want to know. But most importantly, when will the SHIB in the Shibarium hit at least a penny? Erase 3 of those zeros, go to 0.1, go to a penny, go to 10 cents, and then go to $1. Just like Doge. Man, the Doge had a nice big run up. When is the SHIB going to do that? That's what we want to know.
Jeff, I don't really know the answer to that, but I do know that
somebody consult the Magic 8 Ball.
something just to kind of brighten everyone's spirit in here. Yes, we will be releasing the very first tribe, which is the blue tribe. That's
Blue
color
tribe,
wise. But let's take a look at these bad boys right here. These are the
not the
badass
blue
Yetis.
team, the blue tribe.
Look at that, Jeff. Badass Yetis. What? Look at these adorable little creatures. They'll rip your heart out before you say hello. They look like they're fun and everything, but they're mean. Look at this, Jeff.
I
What are
love the
these
mentalist.
guys? These are the mentalists. Mentalist meet mentalect. Mentalect meet mentalist.
This guy's
And these
badass.
these ones right here have some telephony going on right there, and that huge cranium. Look at this. Got weapons, everything else.
I
Fantastic.
like the
These little,
ice sword.
it's awesome, right? Little bastards are cool. And then this right here, you get a little bit of glowing going on. They are something else. Really, really got to love these guys. And there you go. So you guys can see this is kind of what these badass Yetis are going to be. And come on, tell us in the comments. You guys like these? How do you react to these? You've seen a lot of NFT projects out there. How about our badass Yetis?
Badass Yeti.
We're launching a brand. This is going to be going to kick it off. Look at this right there. Look at that shield. How'd you like to get clocked with that thing, Jeff? Bam, right in the face, right? And then look at this adorable little creature, Jeff. Little Yeti, little badass Yeti right there. And there you go. Rocket to the moon. That's the rocket to the moon. That's going straight to the moon. 589. Never look back. And look at this K-HUD. Now, guys, why is K-HUD the only one? You guys love the channel, but K-HUD always kicking down with the cash. Sheesh. Gotta love you, K-HUD. You're fantastic. K-HUD is single-handedly keeping on the chain on the air. Do you realize that? How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys feel at least bit bad? K-HUD's doing all the work for you?
Pretty good.
Come on now.
Welcome to SVB loves the Yetis. And everybody loves the Yetis.
Banks, we can stake your crypto for 3% and make 25%, and it will be safe. There you go. Yeah, we'll stake your crypto for 3%, and we'll let's see. We'll go ahead and do something out the back end, but don't worry, we're protected. NTX not protected. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
Good stuff.
Rain says, "Nice when baby Yeti coin." Well, that was part of the original thing. Yeah, talk to Gary because this was supposed to be launched with the token, but we're not even talking about that because Jeff and I have two basic rules we observe. Number one is stay out of court. Number two is stay out of jail. So, even though we've explored so many different opportunities when it comes to utility. We talk about utility on this channel, but unfortunately, we want to stay out of the clink, and so that's part of it too. We got here, Tony Bag says the Blue Crew Yetis, very cool. What else we have here? NFT Cuties says, hey, just saying. Love the Yetis. Thank you. Welcome to Earth. Appreciate that. And then welcome to Earth. Is that Jackie? That's Jackie. That's right. She changed her thing. And then we have smash those likes. Appreciate that, Hans. Hans Loaded. Appreciate that. Darcy says NFTs. And the face plant. Are you saying you don't like our NFTs, man?
Kelly Valier. There you go.
What's
that? Kelly Valier. Do a quick shout out.
What am I shouting out?
Kelly Valier.
I don't know. See, is it one of the things she said there?
Oh, super chat right there. But you've got.
I don't see it. Oh, hang on a second. I'm behind here.
You need to release
the
badass Yetis in the SEC office.
Thank you for that, Kelly. Appreciate that. Kelly's like, you know what? I heard you loud and clear. Thank you so much for that. I mean, we do kid about it, but it is so amazing that it's always, the one guy. Now, Kelly, thank you for appreciate that. Very, very cool. Guys, I think that's all we have. Jeff, you want to go down a couple more Guinnesses?
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm going to go to bed because I got another early day tomorrow.
And you slept 3.5 hours, so that didn't work.
Yeah. I was dragging. So
I hate that when you
drag. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. I might not be here with you on Saturday. So
I'll do it solo, Jeff. I'll do it live and I'll do it solo. Do it live.
Going live.
We'll have more stuff.
Solo. But we're on to there's so much stuff developing in this space right now. It used to be SEC v Ripple, all the stuff dissecting the case. Now getting into how the banking infrastructure, a little bit of a meltdown, market meltdown. How is that involved with the crypto? What's going to happen with crypto? What's going to happen with DeFi as the centralized mechanisms are starting to implode and attack at the same time? It's kind of crazy watching this stuff.
Yeah, we got to play this one, Jeff. We haven't...
Gary!
That's always a good one.
Blew
And then
everybody's speakers.
And how about this?
The usual, sir.
Please.
Cassettes. Did someone say cassettes?
Cassettes, Jeff. And people are asking, like, why? It was destined you were going to be either Yeti or cassettes. So, like, hey, guys, we've come out with a brand new, phenomenal. That might be our next one, Jeff. Our next NFT release will be all kinds of cool cassettes with cool shit on it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think it's
that would just give someone an idea. But I love the idea of an NFT series of cassettes.
They're not going to do it the way we're going to do it.
No.
Nope. There's another really good one in here. This one here. Those are the banks falling off the cliff, Jeff. So there you go, guys. That's all we, right? Just going off the cliff. Thank you. Thanks again to Kelly and also to K-Hud, big time. As always depend on you.
Everybody
really
else
appreciate you and appreciate all you guys, man. The best way you can help us, share this so we grow and we don't lose 18 subscriptions a month. You know, we just want to be able to grow. We had a pretty good we had a pretty good week though. So that means you guys are doing something right and we are growing, which is awesome. So guys, thank you so much.
Algorithms and YouTube have fixed.
Yeah. Anything you want to say, Jeff, before we get out of here?
Just a quick shout out to everybody out there, our YouTube fans, our podcast fans. You guys are amazing. You really are. We have the best and the brightest in all of the YouTube crypto space. You guys are fantastic. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So big shout out. And we look forward to being back Saturday. We are here 3 days a week. If you didn't know, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. You guys love to hear us rant. We love to read your comments because that's the show behind the show.
That's right.
That's all we got.
We love when you drink, Jeff. This is good. This is going to have to be more of a staple. Jeff having a couple drinks. Jeff and I once time did a whiskey show, and I think it went like 2.5 hours, and it gradually started going downhill. We did a whiskey show, and it's like we had our own OTC branded whiskey for the thumbnail. On that one, we drank a lot of whiskey on that, Jeff. I'm not going to lie, but next time we do something that dumb, we're going to make sure we do something where it raises money for like a good cause or like there's a reason behind it, not just because you listen to two idiots drink and bloviate. But yeah, I think it went like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Those were the days, Jeff. It was the early days. It was all fun.
The best.
Tony Bag says, hit that like, subscribe. So does Michael Murphy. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Crypto Caddy says, connect to Congress and get audited.
The XRP law.
I didn't do it for the longest time, but I said, what the hell? Anyway, that's all we got, guys. Paper Chaser put the link in there so you can connect to Congress. All right, guys, that's all we have. See you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. Not yet.
We're not out yet.
I almost hit the wrong button, Jeff. I almost hit the wrong button. I missed it. Okay, here we go. See you guys on the next one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.